Good morning, everyone. I hope you're all well, enjoying the good weather. Today's shiur is Lila Nishma, Sarah Nachman, Simcha Koinu, Shomorcha, Shepsel, Mecha Sarah Shmoliv, and Biyam Moshe, Ben Yossi, Melin, Hashem Salhav, and Aliyah. And the first thing, if you saw Bracha, is Leah Racha, Bespesel Zal, the Racha, Aliyah, B'Siyah Bracha, Aliyah, Marisha, Chaybet, the Rabbi, the first thing, B'Sol Shachal Yisrael. Today's shiur is sponsored by the Seir Nashim, is sponsored by the Imperial Advisory Group, a specialist in CFO stuff for over 30 years. If your business is in need of a new CFO or whatever they do, please reach out to them at imperialgrp.com. Plenty of information on the website, imperialgrp.com, and they're the best. Perek Zion Mishnah. Perek Zion today. We have Zion, Ches, and Tes. What's today? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then we start Kiddushin on Friday, and the Siyum is going to be Rosh Hashem on Tuesday next week. Siyum on Seder Nashim. Habalina Tova. And then it's on to Nezikin. Okay. Mishnah, Perek Zion, Mishnah Aleph, Mishnah also Kurdiukus. If someone was seized by a type of mental illness called cardiacus, it was an illness that caused mental confusion from drinking wine that had not yet aged. Amar Kisu Ishti, and he said to people, write a get for my wife. Lo Amar Klub. He said nothing at all. It's not valid. Because he didn't say anything. It was not, the guy's not of legal sane mind. Amar Kisu Ishti. If the husband said, write a get for my wife while he was normal, but also Kurdiakis. But also Kurdiakis. And afterward, he was seized by an attack on Cardiacus. And he then said, do not write the get. His last statement is considered nothing since he said it when his mind was unbalanced. Therefore, the get may be written on the husband's behalf following his original instructions. Nishtat take. If the husband became mute because of an illness or arm below, and people said to him, should we write a get for your wife? The hair Gimarosha, and he nodded his head in agreement. They may not write a get based on his nodding alone. Rather, both they must test him 3 times to see if his mind is clear by asking him questions, obvious questions, which the answer is obviously no, and 3 questions which the answer is obviously yes. Seeing how he responds. If he answers no questions, well, hey, and yes questions, because as soon as his mind is clear, Hari Elu, Yichtaru, V'yitnu. Mishnah Beis. Amrulau, if the people said to him, Nichtav get le'ishtecha, should we write a get for your wife? Amar lehem kisru. And he answered them, yes, write it. Amar the Sofer Mekasov, but instead of writing the get themselves, they told the scribe to write the get, and he wrote it. And they told other witnesses to sign their name on the get, and they signed. The halacha is Ava even if these other people wrote and signed the get, and gave it to the husband, and the husband then gave it to his wife to divorce her. The get is void and she is not divorced. This is because the original agents were empowered only to write and sign the get themselves. They did not have the right to appoint others to do so. For a get is not valid until the husband himself tells the scribe, write the get. And tell the witnesses sign the get. Since the new scribe and witnesses were not authorized to write and sign the get, it is not a valid get, and the husband may not divorce his wife with that get. Mishnah Gimel Mati. If a healthy man gave a get to his wife and said, "This is your get if I die," and he then died, Mati or a sick husband gives a get and said, "This is your get if I die from this illness," and he died from that illness. So the husband said, when giving the get, "This is your get after I die," and he then died. In all those cases, lo maklum, it was worthless what he said, and the get does not take effect because in these cases, the get is only meant to take effect only after he dies. Once he dies, the marriage is over, and it's no longer possible to divorce her. However, mihayom imati, if the husband gave again and said, "This is your get from today if I die," the imati, or he said, "This is your get from now if I die," hareze get. Then the get is kosher because in these cases the husband did not delay the get until after he dies. Rather, it was effective immediately or retroactively, really. Therefore, the divorce is kosher, and she is not chayiv in yibum. Mihayom ula achar misa. If the husband said when he gave the get, "This is your get from today and after I die," and he then died, a get, it'll get if it is a get and it's not a get. Means it's not clear whether it's a get or not. Um, if he dies without children, his wife must perform chalitza with his brother before being allowed to marry someone else. Lo misibemes. But she may not marry him in even because she might be divorced and therefore forbidden to marry her husband's brother. So you can't do that. Zeg, took me his wife and said, "This is your gift from today if I die from this illness." And he then recovered and walked around in the marketplace, the challah the mace, and after he became ill again and died. And the halacha is, so we make an assessment of the cause of his death. If he died because of his original illness, then the get is valid enough. It's valid even though he seemed to recover for a while, because the husband's condition was fulfilled. But if he did not die because of the original illness, and no get, then the get is not kosher since the condition was not met. Mishnah Dalet. Lo says Yachid Imo Ela B'fnei Edom. If a man gave a get and made it effective today on condition that he dies, his wife may not be alone with him afterward except in the presence of witnesses. This is to ensure that they do not have bia together. If they were to have bia, we would suspect that they intended to remarry each other through this action, and a new get would be needed to end this new marriage. In order to prevent this from happening, the Chacham decreed they should not be alone together. I feel evident this witness can even be a Evet Kanani, a Canaanite slave. I feel a shifcha, or even a female Canaanite slave. Because people do not engage in marriage relations in front of another person, even if the person is of lower status. Chutz mi shivchasa. An exception to this world, an exception to this rule is the wife's own female slave. Because she feels very uncomfortable with her female slave and might not. She feels very comfortable with her female slave and might not be embarrassed to have relations in front of her. Therefore, the couple may not be together if the only one present is her own female slave. But the female slave is probably helping her get dressed, helping in the shower, so she's already seen her, and fully in her full state with. So she might not be. It's very likely that she might be comfortable with her female slave around, and so then that's a problem. Mahi ba'osa yamin. If the husband made the get effective from the last moment of his life, what's the woman's status during the days between the time that the get is given and the moment before he dies? Is she considered married or divorced? Rabbi Yehuda says ke'eshes ish l'chol dvareha. She's considered a married woman with regard to all matters, since the get does not take effect until just before the husband dies. Therefore, if she cohabits with another man during this time, they are guilty of ish of adultery. Rabbi Yossi says Migareshes and Migareshes. During this time, she is divorced and not divorced. It's unclear if she's divorced or not. It's because at any given moment, it is possible that the husband will die. It is possible that the husband will die in a moment from now. This will make the get effective now, before his death. Therefore, if she has bia with another man, they're guilty only of possible adultery, not definite adultery, since it's not definite at the moment that they sin, and she is really a married woman. Although when the moment passes and he doesn't die, it becomes clear that she wasn't married at the time of the sin. Um, Rabbi Yossi maintains this does not change the legal status of the previous moment. A person's status at any given time is based only on what can be known at that time. The future cannot retroactively determine the legal status of the past. Since at any given moment there's no way of knowing what will happen later, her status in the present always remains one of doubt. Mishnah Hey, Hare Zagita. If a man gives the get to his wife and says, "This is your get," Amanai should titni li masayim zuz, on condition that you give me 200 zuz. Hare Zamigoresh, she's divorced from the time that the get was given to her. The sitain, and she may make sure, but she must make sure to give him the money in order to fulfill the condition. Although he did not say explicitly that the get is effective right away, we assume that this was his intention. Therefore, as long as she fulfills his condition, she's divorced retroactively from the time she received the get. If the husband said, "Here's your get on condition that you give me 200 zuz within the next 30 days," in if she gives him the money within those 30 days, the condition has been fulfilled and she is divorced. But if she does not do this, but instead gives the money after 30 days, and she is not divorced. Since the husband specified that the money must be given within 30 days, the condition is fulfilled only if the wife gives it during that time. Shimon ben Gamliel said, once happened in Sidon. Someone said to his wife, "This is your condition that you give me my cloak." And then his cloak got lost, and the wife was unable to give it to him. So the issue was brought in front of the Chachamim, and they said, she may give him the value of the cloak instead. Mishnah Vav. If a man gives a get to his wife and says, "This is your get," on the condition that you serve my father, or condition that you nurse my baby son, my son, which requires her to serve his father for 1 day, or to nurse his baby for 1 day during the period in the child's life where it's normal for it to nurse, means the first couple of years. So how long is it normal for a woman to nurse a child? Stay shut 2 years. In the first 2 years of life, she must nurse the child during that time. Rabbi Yehuda says Shmona Asa Chodesh, 18 months, and she must nurse the child before he is 18 months old to fulfill the condition. Meis haben or shemeis if the husband made such a condition and the son died before she had a chance to nurse him, or the father died before she had a chance to serve him. The get is valid because the husband required her to do these things only if there was a need for them. He never intended to demand them from where there's no need. So therefore, So therefore, if they don't need to do it. Okay. Next case. Hareza Gitech. If the husband said to his wife, "This is your get. I'm not shetish mashias adam shtei shanim. I'm conditioned that you serve my father for 2 years. I'm not shetaniki yes beni shtei shanim. Or a condition that you nursed my son for 2 years. Meis haben or shemeis av, and the son or father died within those 2 years, and there's no longer any need for her to serve or to nurse. Osh amahav efshi shetish masheni. Or the father said to her, "I do not want you to serve me." And she had not angered him to cause him to say this. And a get, in all these cases, the get is not valid since the husband specified that she must perform the service for a period of time. We assume that he insists on having his condition fulfilled under all circumstances, not just when there is a need. Since the condition cannot be fulfilled, the get does not take effect. So the next time disagrees. Shimon ben Gamliel, Shimon ben Gamliel says, but kazeh get, in such a case where the father told her not to serve him and she had not angered him, it's a kosher get. According to him, even when the husband has set the time for the conditions, the intention is only to satisfy the needs of his father. Since in this case, his father does not need her service, the husband does not insist on the condition being fulfilled. Kalal Amar Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel. Shimon ben Gamliel gave a general rule concerning these types of unfulfilled conditions. Go akava she'ena hemena. Wherever the obstacle that prevents the condition from being fulfilled that does not come from her, there is a get, it is a kosher get. Since the wife did not do anything to stop the condition from being fulfilled, it must be that there is no longer a need to fulfill it. Therefore, the husband does not require his condition to be fulfilled in such a case. Okay, 3 more to go. Mishnah Zayin. If a man was about to leave on a trip and he said to his wife, "This is your gift. I do not come back within the next 30 days." Yehuda the Galil, and he was traveling from Judea in the southern part of Israel to the Galil in the northern part. So he added that the get should take effect if he reached the Galil. He the Antipatris, the Chazer. If he reached the city of Antipatris, which is in Judea, near the border with the Galil, and he then returned home within 30 days, Batal, to know his condition is void and the get does not take effect. Because he did not actually enter the Galil, he did not fulfill his second condition, and since he returned home within 30 days, he also did not fulfill the first condition. So that's neither condition was met, the get did not take effect. Another case. Similarly, if a man was leaving on a trip and he said to his wife, "This is your gift, I do not come back within the next 30 days. He is traveling from Galil to Judea, to Yehuda. So he added that the get should take effect if he reached Yehuda. Osnai, the Chazar, and he reached Kfar Osnai, which is a village located in the Galil near the border with Yehuda, and he then returned home within 30 days. His condition is void, and the get does not take effect. Since he did not enter Yehuda, he did not fulfill the second, he also did not fulfill the first condition. If a man was leaving on a trip and he said to his wife, "This is your gift, I do not return within 30 days." He was traveling from Eretz Yisrael to a foreign country. And he reached the city of Akko, which is located in Eretz Yisrael on its northern border, and that he then returned within 30 days. But his condition is void because he did not actually reach the different country and he returned within 30 days. In this case, too, he did not fulfill any of his conditions and the get did not take effect. If a man gives a get to his wife and says, "This is your get," calls him and any time that I'm out of your presence for 30 days, and he left and came back and left and came back. He did so several times, each time within 30 days of the previous time, until finally he was away for an uninterrupted period of 30 days. And the halacha is, since we did not see him being alone with her during the time he came back, there is a get, the get is kosher. Mishnah Ches. The man was leaving home and he gave a get to his wife saying, "This is your gift, I do not return within the next 12 months." And he died within 12 months while still away from home. The get is not kosher. He did not end up returning within 12 months because the divorce all takes effect only at the end of the 12 months, since he's no longer alive at that time, the divorce cannot take place. This is your get from now. If I do not return within the next 12 months, and he died within 12 months while still away from home, get, then this is a valid get. Since in this case he said that the divorce should take effect the day he gave the get, if he does not return, the get took effect retroactively from the time it was given when the husband was still alive. And finally, Mishnah Tes. The man says to his agents, if I do not come back within the next 12 months, get right and give a get to my wife. And the agents wrote the get during these 12 months, and then they gave it to the wife after the 12 months had passed and the husband had not returned. Get is not a valid get. It's because the husband's condition. This is because the husband's condition that the agent to wait for 12 months to see if he returns was said in respect to both writing the get and giving it. However, before 12 months passed, they were not authorized to write a get. Any get that they wrote during that time is simply not valid. Therefore, even though they gave the get at the right time, she is not divorced. Kisvu to new get liishti and lobas mikana chodesh. If the husband told the agents, "Right and give a get to my wife, if I do not come back within the next 12 months," kisvu b'soch shnei chodesh, and they wrote to get during the 12 months, and then gave it to the wife after the 12 months had passed, and the husband had not returned. And a get is not a valid get, because here too we assume his condition was said in regard to writing get as well. Therefore, and the agents must wait 12 months to write the get. And if they did not, the get is possible. Rabbi Yossi says, because that get, in such a case where he gave the instructions to write and give the get before he made the condition that they wait 12 months, it is a kosher get, even if they wrote it within the 12 months. According to Rabbi Yossi, when the conditions follow the instructions, we assume that the condition refers back only to the last action mentioned and not to the previous action. They may write the get during the 12 months and divorce her with it after 12 months have passed and the husband has not returned. Kisvu, let's wrap it up. Kisvu, if the agents wrote the get after 12 months, and they gave it to the wife after those 12 months with mace, and the husband died, the law is as follows: Im haget kodem lamisa. If the get was given before his death, harei a get, then it is a valid get. If the husband did not have children, the wife is not subject to the laws of Ibum. Misa kodem the get, but if his death occurred before the get was given, ain't get, then it's not a valid get because it is not possible to divorce once the husband is dead. Therefore, the wife is bound by the laws of Ibum. The Enya do it if it's not known whether the get was given first or the husband died first. Zu Hish Amru. This is a case about which the Chacham said, Megareshis, and Megareshis. that the wife is divorced but is not divorced. We are not sure if she's divorced or not. Therefore, she may not perform Yibam and marry her husband's brother. But she may perform Chalitza with him in order to be permitted to marry another man. Thank you for joining us. We'll continue tomorrow with Perek Ches. Have a wonderful